Hello, friends! If you watched the previous video, you know that I am doing some coaching for my friend Rebel. Rebel Son, the very famous committer, influencer. You know, I can't cotton the hate speech of Commander, but I do want to see people succeed who are putting the good college try in to get better at Magic the Gathering. So I told Rebel that I would coach her on Modern Burn. So she sent me some VODs of Modern Burn play, and let's see if we can check out some potential areas of opportunity. First match, if you watched the previous video, Rebel lost 0-2 to an Omnath 4-color deck. I think there's a very good chance I would have lost the same match. Game 1 sucked, hand sucked, didn't line up well against the opponent's stuff at all. I'm pretty confident I would have won Game 2, but Rebel basically double mulliganed in that one. Let's see how she does in this match.
I guess siding out all the creatures was bad.
I don't know.
Because making it too spells oriented.
I think we said we didn't like it.
Strain my mana a lot versus just having more creatures to keep getting damage in.
Well, the spells that Rebel brought in were just bad relative to creatures, right? Like, Weird Here doesn't deal any damage. Let's look at this. This is...
Guide. Turn 2, Connective Guide. Skewer. Or draw a card. I feel like this is pretty good.
I like this hand. It's pretty good. It has the potential to be mana flooded. Opponent is on the
if they go
play.
land Ragavan, it's kind of bad. But still turn 2, we can Helix the Ragavan. We can start with Guide, attack.
Okay, if the opponent plays a first turn Ragavan, you should play the Guide and not attack.
Oh. All of himself.
Alright, Spirebluff Canal off of a Mishra's. Double Mishra's Bauble.
Bobble me. Bobble them.
So this is going to let them draw 2 cards. They have 4 cards remaining. I talked about a situation like this in an article called Finding the 3 Gears, where I advocated not attacking with a Goblin Guide in this situation.
What hand is this? This hand is not a Ragavan hand. They probably spell Pierce. They probably have an Unholy Heat and Expressive. They drew twice off Bobble. What happens if I play Guide right now? They get to heat me. They don't have a DRC. We don't know that. It might be in their hand. They might just be waiting for DRC. Boom. Which in that case, what does holding Guide right now do? I guess I could Scalding Tarn. What does Skewer the Critic say? It's a sorcery, right?
Well, no. You play Inspiring Advantage here.
If I Guide, attack, connects, then I can double Skewer. But I feel like they're just going to hold that heat no matter what.
So, Rebel has no play if she doesn't cast the Goblin Guide.
The best option we have.
Okay, so Scalding Tarn is 1,000,000% wrong.
Let's see if we can fake them.
And then not casting Goblin Guide is
Scalding
wrong.
Tarn would throw them off to fetch incorrectly.
There is a question on if you should attack with Goblin Guide, but you should definitely attack with Goblin Guide. But you should definitely play Goblin Guide. Maybe you should attack with Goblin Guide. Who knows? But you should definitely play Goblin Guide there. This line makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
Are you playing against Dash Ragavan?
Oh, it's this deck.
Seek the Beast. Okay, this is a 100% win matchup. If you play properly. So you should Charm here. One of the things that's... Playing the Scalding Tarn on first turn is incredibly bad because it turns off a future Searing that Rebel might draw.
Next turn we could Guide. There's a DRC. So they have a Spell Pierce.
No, they're just going to grow
they
this
just
thing.
They need a land pretty bad. What if they exile?
This is like super awkward. They're going to grow this.
Oh, it was land. What if they exile?
Notably, they have not evidenced the ability to kill a Goblin Guide yet.
Drop Preordain, play the land. I don't think it's completely ruled out that they don't have.
All right, so I would Lava Spike and play Inspiring Vantage.
I think right now. Okay, how do we get beaten here?
I would Lava Spike, play Inspiring Vantage. Skewer the Critics, the Dragon Rage Channeler if the Lava Spike resolves, which it will, right?
If
they have a Spell Pierce,
easier next turn.
then you just play the second Skewer the Critics also on the Dragon Rage Channeler. If it resolves, you cast the Goblin Guide and get in for 2.
The Vantage. Then we'll start with Spike.
Yep, that's right. Now, Skewer the Dragon Rage Channeler.
Then start with Spike. If I play any of these spells, they're going to pierce me, but they cannot pierce a Goblin Guide.
Well, who cares if they pierce you?
Other hand. I think I do.
So they're at 12 life, and you have 13 damage in hand. You haven't drawn yet, right? So if you skewer here, either the skewer resolves or it doesn't resolve, right? If it resolves, then you get in for 2, which puts them on 10 because Island doesn't interact directly with Goblin Guide.
They only have 1 red. So
the next turn you have Helix Skewer.
Guide, play their other. There's a fetch land. They could play Questing Druid.
They're not going to play Questing Druid. They would have to take 3 to do that.
You're good. You take 3. Yeah, it's all counter spells.
Definitely play Swift Sphere. I mean, this is already scuffed. Like, the Dragon Rage Channeler should be dead.
Unless if it's actually just counterspell, the Skewer is going to make it. So I think I just go to combat first.
Okay, well, if you think they have counterspell, there's no reason not to play Monastery Swift Sphere.
Do the thing.
Like, you want, counterspell versus Monastery Swift Sphere is a great trade. Then even from this position, you just resolve both skewers. So, Rebel has just revealed Spell Snare.
What is this? Stomp. Sure. One has been stomped.
Right, so if the answer was Stomp, then Goblin Guide would have gotten in on turn 1, just notably. We haven't seen Unholy Heat. I think in this situation, it's probably fine to pay 1 life effectively to get a green-red dual land and Unholy Heat the other Goblin Guide if you have it. So it leads me to believe the opponent doesn't have an Unholy Heat. Right, because the net damage is only 1, and then
Next
you can untap and play Questing Druid.
When they crack, I can Skewer again.
Also, the opponent seems to have erred. There are 2 Goblin Guide triggers, right? So they could have gotten a free land if they broke Misty Rainforest for whatever land.
My only shot at this right now is let them fetch at end step. Unless they're like really afraid, there it is.
Right, so they're fetching here anyway.
They have a spell pierce. I don't care. They're still there it is.
All right, that was I think a poor use
of
a Lightning Helix.
So no point is this Helix getting through. So I think the only shot is making them have specifically spell pierce.
Why didn't they get a green-red land? I would have gotten a green-red land there. The Rebel is playing around a Spell Snare that doesn't exist. The opponent's Misty Rainforest just shuffled the Spell Snare somewhere into the library. So when she says there's no way that the Lightning Helix resolves, that is not correct. Yeah, so the thing that we should be focused on in this game is that the Dragon Rage Channeler is going to kill Rebel, because the opponent has 5 cards to her 2 and a better clock, right? So he's coming for 5 here. That Ragged Man is horrible. What is the turnover?
Flip. What's in the exile? Oh, Rift Bolt.
Rift Bolt.
That could have been handy.
I don't believe they can suspend.
One, two, three, and then 1, 2, 3.
Let's see. So there should be a Swift Spear in play right now. It should have dealt damage last turn. There should be a Lightning Helix.
That's cool.
So this is game. So it should be Swift Spear swing. The opponent has to answer. And then it's just like Boros Charm YOLO. So that's his 3, puts the opponent to 3. Lightning Bolt. Targeting who? I would consider casting Boros Charm to save both my creatures there, which also gives an additional point of damage from Monastery Swift Spear, which put the opponent to 2. And you have a Skewer the Critics that you can hard cast the next turn. Also, it really makes the opponent's life difficult with regards to Flooded Strand.
Only have one crack at this. So if they don't actually hold up Snare,
there's no Snare. They shuffled the Snare away.
I'm just gonna Spectacle no matter what.
So the opponent's technically at 1, right? If they use the Flooded Strand.
They have a bolt.
So
yep.
What's dangerous here is the opponent can potentially get in with Ragavan and then kill Rebel with a burn spell.
I just assume my opponent wouldn't be this greedy.
I don't know what she means by greedy. Like, there's 14 ways from Sunday that they can just, like, play Bone Crusher Giant back and defend. I do think they should have gotten a green-red Stomping Ground earlier. The Equestrian Dryad in play. Druid, sorry. Let's see. 9, 3 from Dragon Rage Chandler, effectively 6, 4. Like, Rebel's in really bad situation because a Dash Dragavan might turn over a burn spell.
Unless they go Bolt.
But doesn't matter. Like, this should have won this game. Rebel's playing around a spell snare that doesn't exist.
Yep.
Dash, this is in for 5, puts her to 4. Treasure. Lots of things just win the game here. I think I would have Boros Charmed last turn to save my creatures. The opponent would be at 2, and then just hard cast a...
You wouldn't cast this.
Well, they're not going to cast a Roaring Vortex. That might kill them.
You would cast it. Heat, yes. Did they put the spell Snare, but they did not.
Yeah, I mean,
so
like...
we are down to 1 draw.
Boros Charm wins the game here.
Be a spell, be a spell.
I think I would cast Eidolon of the Great Revel. The opponent basically can't beat an Eidolon of the Great Revel, right? Like, they attack with Dragon Rage Channeler, put Rebel to 1, and then you just counterattack with Eidolon. They can't cast anything. Like, they could conceivably counter the Boros Charm with a Spell Snare or a Spell Pierce.
That's so annoying.
No. So you cast Eidolon there, think the opponent's dead, puts you to 1, and you just counterattack. They can attack. I mean, like, at a minimum, Rebel should cast the Boros Charm to try to steal the game. Maybe the opponent will misclick, even if you believe that the opponent has a spell Snare. Yeah, Dash Ragavan is among the things that you cannot do with an Eidolon in play.
They drew the spell Snare, right? Am I playing around with spell Snare?
No, they shuffled it away turns and turns ago. Literally the turn with the Misty
There's
Rainforest.
one card on top. Yeah.
No, should definitely have cast the Boros Charm there, just in case. Couple of key things. I think the fact that Rebel just was wrong about the Spell Snare being shuffled away is an issue, but I mean, just shouldn't concede. Just throw the Boros Charm, see what happens. I do not believe that she saw the even just cast Eidolon there, presuming it resolves, is lethal. Should have cast the Monastery Swift Spirit turn earlier. Rebel lost with 2 lethal cards in hand, so could also have cast the Boros Charm to save the Goblin Guide. All of those things would have improved her fortunes in this game. Looks like we are siding in Sanctifier on Vec. And siding out... Is that Rolling Vortex? I don't know how many... Well, so the opponent has Mishra's Bauble, which is a free spell. Might think twice about siding out Rolling Vortex. Rebel has 2 Mountains and 2 Sacred Foundries against...
I guess the difference is last game, I was playing around them not playing around leaving mana open for Spell Snare, so even if they just passed, it was the same result, so I might as well play to the point where they would just crack the fetch like a dumbass, and then I beat them.
This hand sucks on the play. I think...
It's like, okay.
I would keep
really dependent on a land, though.
But it sucks. It's like... I guess you get your sideboard cards if you get a second land. But I'd think long and hard about keeping it, but this is not a great hand. But you're such an advantage. This matchup's very easy. So, I think maybe it's worth keeping. Like, what can you lose to? Dash Ragavan? So if you play Rift Bolt here, that's prophylactic against a hardcast Ragavan. So I think that's worth doing. Opponent. So opponent paid for Steam Defense up? That's horrible. What can you possibly want there? You can just Spell Pierce this? It's just not worth a card. Guide. I think you play Guide and don't attack. Like, in the situation you're in right now, Dash Ragavan is a problem. This Pierce is revealed. Like, this is a super predictable situation. So Guide not attack would have been better in my opinion.
You even knew they had heat. They played Steam Vents past.
Yeah, like, why would you play Steam Vents? Dash Ragavan is horrible here. Ugh, barf. That's why you don't attack with Goblin Guide, but they would have still heated it. But I don't know. You're in a better spot, I guess. Let's see here. Sanctifier and Vec can't get pierced.
Please.
Play Sanctifier. There you go. Take 1, play Sanctifier. So Sanctifier is basically a lock. It is going to prevent the opponent from being... Oh, Spell Snare! Nice. Nice, nice, nice. It's going to mess up Dragon Rage Channeler, and... There's nothing Rebel can do but get bashed by Ragavan.
What are the chances they had Spell Snare as well? I guess somewhat high.
I mean, how many Spell Snares do you think they have? They probably have like 1 in their 75. Approximately. I mean, I think like Resolve Sanctifier is probably really bad for them. It stops all of their Ragavans.
7 damage.
I guess they can
10
subtlety
damage.
you.
I mean, they don't have any lands, all spells. We know there's Spell Pierce in hand. I'm not going to play my Swiss.
Can I play this? I'd play it if I were them. Just cast Sanctifier. They don't have another Spell Snare. Alright, so Rebel is behind by 2 life, but the Sanctifier can make that up pretty quick. Searing Blaze is good. It's going to stop a future Ragavan. All this stuff is good. I think it might be okay to sit back on the Sanctifier and then just burn the opponent out.
We have 10 damage. Sanctifier needs to connect twice.
We have like 13 damage, right?
Expressive. They can play Questing Druid to get out of this. They do have Spell Pierce. So, I think...
Just play the land. I mean, it's not great. You're not going to be able to catch Ragavan this way, but still deal 1. I think you're just worth playing the land and attacking. So you want to play the land because then it gives you double action against Ragavan. There you go. Opponent's on 12. It's 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're basically dead. Go to 11. This play is horrible. So, who cares if you resolve the lightning bolt? By the way, they could literally spell pierce you there if they cared about. Oh no, they couldn't. You have 2 mana open. The play's really bad because the main way you can lose in this race is by getting hit by Ragavan and then flipping a burn card. Right, so you want to leave up double prophylactic against Ragavan. So obviously you're going to take 2 here, which is going to put you to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But you know they have a spell pierce.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Searing Blaze you right now. You're going to tap this for the spell pierce.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Nope.
So you have 7 to their 8 and a Sanctifier in play. The problem is they might flip over a burn card.
What you get?
Okay, they're going to Spectacle you to 5.
Well, you can't play a Spectacle. Can you?
You certainly can. I think the opponent screwed up. I think that I would have cast the Monastery Spear if you can do that for free. I think you can do that with Ragavan.
There's no snare, and the only thing we're worried about is... Hold on.
If you play Monastery Spear here...
Of a chance.
3,
I'm
7...
guaranteed 5 damage here. If they have double bolt, I die.
The problem is the Sunbaked Canyons might kill you. So...
Sanctify for 1 turn, attack them next turn. That seems like
better. Tapping Sunbaked Canyon is going to put you into burn range.
Actually, undo. Getting Lava Spike there is more important, so I'm just going to Lava Spike you.
I think I would have just cast Monastery Spear and attack for 1.
I can put you down to 3. Don't think you're ever cracking this treasure.
No, the Sunbaked Canyons are going to put you into bolt range.
I could. If I play Swiss Spear now, you have a heat. You heat the Swiss Spear. What options do you have? You have 3 cards. You can hold up a counterspell. Another thing. You counterspell, heat next turn, still leave with the treasure for Spell Pierce. They can also, what they're going to do? No, thank you.
Okay. Don't tap any of those Sunbaked Canyons. That's what's going to get you dead. Oh boy.
I'm within double bolt range regardless.
Wait. You're in like single bolt range if you tap the other Sunbaked Canyon. Why would you not attack?
I should have thought through my turn better and Swift Spear attacked anyways.
Yep. Okay.
Trying to stress their mana. Ragavan, you can't dash.
Just gonna cast it. Eidolon.
How about that?
Like, you just can't cast anything because you're going to die to Lightning Bolt. You have to sit. To sit, or you have to wait for your opponent to make a mistake. So the big problem in this game is literally just that Rebel resolved that Lightning Bolt earlier. If she had just waited instead of...
Anything puts me down to 3, which lets me die to Bolt.
Yeah, so you can't go there. So if she had just held up Lightning Bolt for the Ragavan, she would be not dead to all these bolts because the Skewer the Critics would have never happened.
We have not seen a bolt at all.
And would not be under pressure from a Ragavan, so would be able to keep attacking with Sanctifier on deck.
We've seen that Pierce and the Snare. Yep.
Preordain. Uh-oh. Might be double bolt.
One top, one bottom. We found something you wanted.
Yeah, if one's top, one's a lightning bolt. Alright. Crack Sunbaked Canyon. Draw. Goblin Guide. Eidolon. I think he's sit. There's just no way that that ends up good for you.
Yep.
Sanctifiers are okay this game. I think I would play the card Core Firewalker instead of the card Sanctifier on deck. I don't really care about exiling all of these black cards or whatever. The amount of life you would have gained with the Core Firewalker in this game would have been pretty profound if you're going to cycle the same way.
Yep.
Expressive Iteration. Let's go, friends. Two cards entered the exile zone. One of them's a Mishra's Bauble. This is so good. All these exile effects. And Searing Blaze.
Oh, they don't have that.
Oh my god, Rebel's gonna be too greedy. Strand. Maybe the opponent will bait Rebel by breaking the Strand, going down to 4, inviting the Boros Charm, and then winning in response with Lightning Bolt. That'd be kind of tricky. Lightning Bolt. All right, this one's pretty good. Just pass. Just pass.
I'm waiting until I have another land. Sure.
Uh-oh.
Did you hit your other bolt?
Oh, a Lightning Bolt just cut off Boros Charm.
I'm off Boros Charm now.
Lightning Bolt again? Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I waited too long.
Alright, so what happened in this game? The big issue, I think, was when Rebel Lightning Bolted the opponent's face in response to the Fetchland crack. There was just a fundamental misunderstanding in how this matchup works, which is like, this matchup is among the easiest possible matchups for Burn, because all their creatures are hyper vulnerable to searing effects, and their stuff is cheap, which means that like everything that they have triggers Eidolon of the Great Rebel, right? So all those things line up really, really well for Rebel's side of the battlefield. I think in game 1, I think she should have attacked with the Goblin Guide on first turn, although I really love how meditative she was in not attacking with the Goblin Guide. But I think I would have, just given the complexion of her hand, she needed to get stuff out. The way this matchup works is most of the opponent's cards cost 2. Preordain and Unholy Heat cost 1, and Mishra's Bauble cost 0, but there's just like an overabundance of cards like Seek the Beast, the Druid itself, just all these things that cost 2, and like even dashing a Ragavan costs 2, versus most of Rebel's cards cost 1, which means that like once you get the first domino to fall, you can just play a bunch of your cards in one turn, and the opponent is going to be hard pressed to answer all of them. So first game clearly should have been a win. Rebel was playing against a card that wasn't there. But then the second game, had she not used that lightning bolt to nug the opponent's face and rather saved it to kill the Ragavan, she certainly would have won, right? So the Ragavan not only dealt damage itself, but also flipped over the Skewer the Critics, which dealt 3 points of damage to Rebel and put her in a position where her mana was basically off. Separately, she wouldn't have had to leave Sanctifier on back to block the Ragavan because it would have been dead. So she could have just attacked a bunch, and the opponent was like de facto dead had that Sanctifier gotten in a few more times. So, what can we divine here, right? The objective isn't just to like rag on somebody for making mistakes. The objective is actually to figure out how to make their gameplay better. I think the first thing is evaluating the matchup. This is a matchup where the burn deck has both the beatdown and control roles. It can play however they want. So I call this an inevitability matchup. All of your cards line up really well relative to all of their cards, and a lot of your cards stack value. Eidolon and Searing effects stack a tremendous amount of value in this matchup, meaning that they're like exchanging with the opponent's stuff and then also doing other exciting things for you. So there was like a misunderstanding of that, and then there's just like a technical error on the spell snare not being there. And then the other thing I would say is Rebel should just try to come to understand the inherent advantages of her deck, right? The inherent advantages of her deck is that her stuff is cheap. Really cheap. Everything costs 1 with the exception of a couple of incredibly high leverage cards. Like Searing Blaze, Lightning Helix, and Boros Charm are all incredibly high leverage. By the way, I think I wouldn't have had Boros Charm in my deck in the sideboarded games. Eidolon, of course. Eidolon's the best card in this matchup. I would have tried to emphasize cards that dealt with the battlefield, because this is an opponent who can only beat you if they are getting creature damage through. One of the things that I would be very willing to sacrifice is 1 basic land on turn 1. So if the opponent has a first turn Ragavan or a dash Ragavan, I would be very willing to path to exile that creature, because they're going to get +1 card advantage via the Lotus Petal sort of thing that they get anyway. So just give them a land, who cares? Like that's going to wash out. But being hit by the Ragavan is devastating. If they like get you and then flip over, I don't know, a Lightning Helix that they can immediately cast, you might just lose the game immediately there. So I would have had Path to Exile in, and I don't know that I would want to have played Boros Charm. Rebel could theoretically have done a lot more than 20 damage that game if she had not been just kind of stuck on resources as a result of being hit by the Ragavan and her own pain lands. I like siding in Sanctifier on Vec. That seemed really effective. I think Core Firewalker would have been better, but that's a card like I would have had Core Firewalker on my sideboard, maybe in addition to Sanctifier on Vec or in lieu of Sanctifier on Vec, so that would have been a swap there. Kudos to the opponent for spell snaring the first Sanctifier on Vec, but the second one probably should have carried that match. I believe that in the same situation I would have won that one 2-0.